Alright, so there are a couple of ways to cut out a photo in Photoshop, and I'm going to show you a couple of them. And all of these are ready for you to be imported into InDesign and used. So first what you want to do is you want to look over to the layers, and you see how your current image is on the background layer. Now, to make this transparent in InDesign and for you to be able to text wrap around it and for it to stay on top of other images, you need to make this a transparent thing. So the first thing you want to do is you want to right click or alt click, I think, on a Mac and click duplicate layer. Hit OK. And then just click this little eye here for the background, and that will set this up so the background can be transparent as you begin to cut it out. So one way to do it is to just go and manually with the eraser, make sure it's on brush, just kind of start erasing the background. And you can do this, yeah, it may be a little bit tedious, but it's something that you can do. It comes up to preference, so if you're up for doing all of this, just kind of feeling your way out, that's fine, do it as you wish. Another way you can do it is that some images allow you to take this magic wand tool here. And when you take the magic wand tool, you can adjust the tolerance, make sure anti-aliasing is on, because otherwise you get this weird pixelated smoothing. It's not smooth. The tolerance here is basically, it tells you the range of the color it can sample. A higher tolerance says that you can select a color and it's going to also select really similar colors, and a lower tolerance is going to say that it's going to stick to that one single color. So we can try to select, the background of this, and obviously it only selects one of these. So if you raise the tolerance to say like 32 and you start selecting, you're going to start getting more of the background in the fence. See? And when you want to select more layer, want to select more in the selection, hold down Shift and you will continuously select. So you can, increase the tolerance a little bit. Just keep on clicking, sometimes that works. And see, a lot of the time is when you have a high tolerance or the person that you're trying to cut out has a really similar outfit to the background, you start selecting the person. So that usually isn't the best thing to do, have a high tolerance, but for part of this photo it will work. So actually I'm going to, for part of this photo, put the tolerance up to like 40. And, just start selecting out the sky, because, that's good. And I actually wanted to show you, if you do decide to take this magic wand route, what a good thing is to do. So a lot of times what happens with the magic wand route is that you get these little areas right here that obviously shouldn't be cut out. So what you want to do is you take the lasso tool and this little button right here, and you can then define, and this is the stuff that will cut away from your selection. So I want to save like this hair here or something. I want to do that manually later or something like that. That kind of thing. So yeah. And then say you want to like save that part too. I don't know, it depends. So what ends up happening with a lot of this when you have the magic lasso tool is that it comes out looking kind of rough. So you see I deleted this and it looks really rough. So what you want to do here is you want to go to Select, Modify, and Contract. Contract it by, it depends on how big your picture is. If you have a really big picture, and when you're doing this you should be working with larger pictures because it's going to show up better on print, and the picture should always be in color when you're doing this. It depends on how much you want to contract it. So let's just go with like, say, 2 pixels. And that basically just brings the edges around. And then what you want to do Select, Modify, Feather, and make the feather, like pixel up. And then you can just start double clicking, like just start doing the erasing. Then what you do then after you feather it is you just start deleting, and sometimes it takes more than one delete, and you get this kind of feathered border. it really depends on what the kind of look you want for your photo. Maybe 3 was a bit too much for the feathering, and after you feather it, you can always go back in and manually erase these little weird crevices to even it out. Even like when you feather these images, the best thing when you're doing the details, you should definitely use the manual eraser tool or the pen tool. So that would probably be your best bet. See how after you feather it, it's still kind of important to go back and, you know, at least make it a little bit smoother. So, I mean, alright, and then a final way to get that kind of transparency in the image is you're going to want to take the polygonal lasso tool, you know, zoom in, and then you just want to start clicking and manually cutting out the image. And you should go a little bit further than what the image is actually in the background, what the image is doing, because again, you're going to probably want to feather it about a pixel or so, and you always want more than you want less, because you get these weird sort of edges. So I'm just going to do this, and then I'll fast forward the video. Alright, so I just have this now. She is basically selected. And there's the parts that obviously are rough and there's some parts that aren't. But now, since you have your person selected, you want to go to Selection, Inverse, and then press Delete. So here's basically a cutout of your person. Now obviously you're going to get these areas like this, you know, where I left it a little bit rough. And you see how there's the green here, and there's the blue here, and this area by her hair, which you can you could probably just select it, you know, with low tolerance magic wand, and you know, just start doing that, or manually cut it out, you know, so you can still have the bits of hair. Again, it's up to what the image actually looks like and what you want to be doing with the image. So I'm just gonna casually cut out this part of her hair. This part I'm actually going to just kind of cut out. And the best way to do this when you are doing like these little edits is not to have a fuzzy brush. You want to do it with a harder brush because you get a cleaner line. So it's just best to do that. Oops. Okay. So let's say you have this image now, and say, oh yeah, that looks like a great cutout. Yeah, that is a decent cutout. So, but obviously you have those little rough around the edges lines, and depending on how big your resolution is of your image, sometimes when you paste it in, it's not going to matter. It's like, oh, whatever. But if it is kind of, you know, obnoxious, what you want to do is going to select again, and take your magic wand tool and select everything except your character, your person or whatever. Modify, and then expand the selection by 2 pixels, 1 or 2 pixels, you know, and it basically does that, and it'll clean up all of the rough little spots that you may have left. You can also, if you're, you know, if that just looks weird, and sometimes it does, because you see how with her legs here, you can see this area by her legs, it just looks really skinny and awful, and so you can also do the feather again, and feathering is just a way of saying it's softening the thing. So feather it by like 1 or 2 pixels, it depends on, again, by your image. And feather it, you know, delete a couple times, and you can get an image that's softer on the edges. Again, it really depends on what kind of image you're doing. I personally like a harder edge because it gives the image a more defined shape. So it really depends on what you're actually going to be doing. And that's basically it for how to cut out an image in Photoshop.